What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome to, I threw it too far, Story Time with Shari. My name is Shari Alyse, and I am a global inspirational speaker. I don't know, it just sounds fun. The author, best-selling author of the book Love Yourself Happy. I'm also a self-love and joy coach, in case you couldn't tell. If this is your first time here, you're like, what the hell is this girl on? Well, let me tell you what I'm on. But before I do, make sure that you hit present or here, type that out in the comment box so I know that you are not late for roll call. If you're one of our regulars, put a heart in the box. If you're a newbie, put newbie. We all like to welcome you. We want to welcome you to Storytime with Shari community. Our cocktail of the day, if you're wondering what the heck I'm on. Today I have chosen the Drunken Monkey. I forgot to introduce not a monkey, but Ollie the owl. He literally hangs out with us every single day and just kind of creeps over my shoulder a little bit to try to keep me on target. Good morning, Chrissy. Nice to see you. Hey, Rona. Hey, Shirley. You guys decided to join the madness. Anyway, Drunken Monkey, what is in here? We have a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of pineapple juice, some coconut rum, some spiced rum, a little bit of bitters, and some nutmeg. So make sure you go and grab your favorite cup of something. Nobody will say what's in it. I always do, though. This is actually a latte. But it's always fun to pretend that I'm either on some tropical island or I'm in the south of France or wherever. But it's always coffee. Good morning, Renee and Samantha. Nice to see you guys. For those of you who are just joining, this is Storytime with Shari. We do this Monday through Friday, and it's an opportunity for you to be able to take some time for you to step out of the madness that's happening out there, or maybe it's not. Maybe this is the most beautiful time for you, but either way, there is always time for joy. And so I decided that I would bring story time, what I loved in school as a young kid, and bring it to you guys. Of course, the books are a little more adult content than what we read in school, but I figured you guys might be able to handle that. Good to see you, Chrissy. Good morning, Tori. Nice to see you all. So at the end of story time, as always, I will be sharing a topic of the day. And today we're going to be talking about the adventure of our lives. And while we're on the topic of adventure, I invite you to get your very own explorer hat. I wore this hat all over Italy when I went off for my little 3-month solo adventure, and it has hung out with me since then. And since we're going to be doing a little bit of exploring later, I thought I would put on the apropos hat. So you're welcome to grab yours. I don't care if nobody's in your house. At least in my heart, I know that you're there. So for most of you who know, that have been joining every single day, I have been reading from my book, Love Yourself Happy. It's still on sale for $1.99 on Amazon. And I left a few chapters that I did not read because I figured I don't want to give away the entire book. Surely awesome. I'm glad that now you can actually just sit with me and you don't have to do anything except enjoy yourself. Good morning, Nilkanth. All right, thanks, Samantha. That means a lot. This is actually one of my favorite times too. I went this morning hiking, which I haven't done in a while because it's been raining, and I go on this private trail. Nobody knows about it. Nobody's out there. But I was almost late, and so I was like, you know what? I think that I might either have to postpone this or cancel altogether. And then I said, what? Shari, you can't do that. Like, this is my favorite part of the day, to be able to connect with you. This is my opportunity to get out of all of that and really just sit here with you and connect. And even though there is this monitor between us, guys, yep, getting emotional. Now more than ever, we are being called together. Don't you find it? Okay, I'll get into that at the end, because right now it's story time. We are starting Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear. This is from Elizabeth Gilbert. And Liz Gilbert wrote Eat, Pray, Love. She wrote The City of Girls. She's written quite a few books, and she's an amazing speaker, actually, and writer, and one of my favorites. And the reason why I chose this book is because this is not just about being creative. It's not just about creating art or writing or music or any of that. the book really is about having that calling within you, that something, whatever that is, and bringing it to the surface. And I thought that this time in particular, right now, when all of us have slowed down, that maybe there will be that opportunity to uncover and discover what lies within you, and then having the courage to bring that out to the world. Tea time. Hello, Malik. Nice to see you. Um, all right. Hey, gang. I know, right? It's a little bit of gangster. Yo, what? That's like the worst gangster ever. Now you can see why I didn't make it as an actress. Yeah, you put your put your 40 away. Guys, if there's any agents out there, yeah, that's me. Good morning, Maddie. Nice to see you. Welcome to Storytime. I'm so glad some of my friends are making it. So at the end, we're going to talk about exploring, digging deep within, finding the gifts that are often hidden in the disguise. I'm going to talk about my 10-week online course, which I see a few of you are here that have signed up for it. We only need a few more people to be able to make that happen. That starts next Monday and registration ends on Friday. So you definitely want to grab your spot. It's 10 weeks of spending time together, learning how to love yourself, learning what different areas of self-love that maybe you need to improve, maybe you need to strengthen, and all of that just creates a you filled with self-value and filled with self-worth. And so I'm really excited to be starting that, but we need more of you. All right. So without further ado, good morning from San Diego. Well, I'm not in San Diego, I'm in LA. Good morning, Rebecca in San Diego. For those of you who are just joining, I see some of those numbers. Story time with Shari. I'm Shari. That's Ollie the owl. He's our mascot, our creeper. And here's our cocktail of choice. I've got an old wig on. I told you my other ones are falling to shit. And so this one I think we're going to call her because she's kind of, I don't know. I like her. Actually, but she looks like a Sandy, right? So she's Sandy today. So today we've got Sandy on. Alrighty. So we're going to dive into Big Magic. I'm just going to read a small chapter because I know all of our attention spans are like, if I wasn't sitting here, I'd be out the door too. So I have respect for all of you guys. For my regulars and for my newbies, this is my favorite time of Story Time with Shari, and that's when I get to play the character of Smart Girl. Smart Girl needs to clean these damn glasses. Okay, that's like awkward. It's like I've over accessorized. I've got a hat, I've got glasses, I've put on some big earrings. Hey, let's throw some necklaces. This is a lot. Maybe we should put the Explorer hat on at the end, I think. That's like the lady that goes into the store and she's got like 67 things that she buys. All right. Boring. Nobody needs to see my style choices here. So the first section of Big Magic. And you guys, I want you to begin. If you have any questions that you want me to answer at the end about anything, so long as it's within reason, I'm definitely willing to. So just write it in the comments. If you just want to share any of your heart, if you're needing some extra assistance, love, or any of that stuff, please make sure that you just put that there. I don't think that this is a time now for us to hold our shit in. I think it's a time for us to come together, to open up, to be willing to receive help and support, or be willing to give it. So the comments are all yours. And before I forget, put your hand on your heart and close your eyes and simply say, thank you. Whatever your name is. Thank you, Shari. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for showing up, for taking this time for yourself. I love you. Make sure that and then I invite you to open your eyes. Make sure that you honor yourself every day. Celebrate yourself. Be there for yourself. Acknowledge that you could be doing anything else in the world, but every time you choose a moment of self-care, you have honored yourself. All right. Hey, Liz. Nice to see you. Hi, Jody. You guys ready for story time? This is called Hidden Treasure. Once upon a time, there was a man named Jack Gilbert who was not related to me, unfortunately for me. Jack Gilbert was a great poet, but if you've never heard of him, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. He never much cared about being known. But I knew about him, and I loved him dearly from a respectful distance, so let me tell you a bit about him. Jack Gilbert was born in Pittsburgh in 1925 and grew up in the midst of that city's smoke, noise, and industry. He worked in factories and steel mills as a young man, but was called from an early age to write poetry. He answered the call without hesitation. He became a poet the way other men became monks, as a devotional practice, as an act of love, and as a lifelong commitment to the search for grace and transcendence. I think this is probably a very good way to become a poet, or to become anything really that calls to your heart and brings you to life. Jack could have been famous, but he wasn't into it. He had the talent and the charisma for fame, but he never had the interest. His first collection, published in 1962, won the prestigious Yale Younger Poets Prize and was nominated for the Pulitzer. What's more, he won over audiences as well as critics, which is not an easy feat for a poet in the modern world. There was something about him that drew people in and kept them captivated. He was handsome, passionate, sexy, brilliant on stage. He was a magnet for women and an idol for men. He was photographed for Vogue, looking gorgeous and romantic. People were crazy about him. He could have been a rock star. Instead, he disappeared. He didn't want to be distracted by too much commotion. Later in life, he reported that he had found his fame boring. Crazy. Not because it was immoral or corrupting, but simply because it was exactly the same thing every day. He was looking for something richer, more textured, more varied. So he dropped out. He went to live in Europe and stayed there for 20 years. He lived for a while in Italy, a while in Denmark, but mostly he lived in a shepherd's hut on a mountaintop in Greece. There, he contemplated the eternal mysteries, watched the light change, and wrote his poems in private. He had his love stories, his obstacles, his victories. He was happy. He got by somehow, making a living here and there. He needed little. He allowed his name to be forgotten. After 2 decades, Jack Gilbert resurfaced and published another collection of poems. Again, the literary world fell in love with him. Again, he could have been famous. And again, he disappeared, this time for a decade. This would be the pattern always. Isolation, followed by the publication of something sublime, followed by more isolation. He was like a rare orchid with blooms separated by many years. He never promoted himself in the least. In one of the few interviews he gave, Gilbert was asked how he thought his detachment from the publishing world had affected his career. He laughed and said, "I suppose it's been fatal." The only reason why I ever heard of Jack Gilbert was that quite late in his life, he returned to America, and for motives I will never know, took a temporary teaching position in the creative writing department at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. The following year, 2005, it happened that I took exactly the same job. Around campus, they started jokingly calling the position the Gilbert Chair. I found Jack Gilbert's books in my office, the office that had once been his. It was almost like the room was still warm from his presence. I read his poems and was overcome by their grandeur and by how much his writing reminded me of Whitman. "We must risk delight," he wrote. "We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world." He and I had the same surname. We held the same job. We had inhabited the same office. We had taught many of the same students, and now I was in love with his words. Naturally enough, I became deeply curious about him. I asked around, who was this Jack Gilbert? Students told me he was the most extraordinary man that they had ever encountered. He had seemed not quite of this world, they said. He seemed to live in a state of uninterrupted marvel, and he encouraged them to do the same. He didn't so much teach them how to write poetry, they said, but why? Because of delight, because of stubborn gladness. He told them that they must live their most creative lives as a means of fighting back against the ruthless furnace of this world. Most of all, though, he asked his students to be brave. Without bravery, he instructed, they would never be able to realize the vaulting scope of their own capabilities. Without bravery, they would never know the world as richly as it longs to be known, and without bravery, their lives would remain small, far smaller than they probably wanted their lives to be. I never met Jack Gilbert myself, and now he's gone. He passed away in 2012. I probably could have made it a personal mission to seek him out and meet him while he was living, but I never really wanted to. Experience has taught me to be careful of meeting my heroes in person. It can be terribly disappointing. Anyway, I quite like the way he lived inside my imagination as a massive and powerful presence built out of his poems and the stories I'd heard about him. So I decided to know him only that way, through my imagination. And that's where he remains for me to this day, still alive inside of me, completely internalized, almost as though I dreamed him up. But I will never forget what the real Jack Gilbert told somebody else, an actual flesh and blood person, a shy University of Tennessee student. This young woman recounted to me that one afternoon after his poetry class, Jack had taken her aside. He complimented her work, then asked what she wanted to do with her life. Hesitantly, she admitted that perhaps she wanted to be a writer. He smiled at the girl with infinite compassion and asked, "Do you have the courage? Do you have the courage to bring forth this work? The treasures that are hidden inside you are hoping you will say yes." So this, I believe, is the central question upon all creative living hinges. Do you have the courage to bring forth the treasures that are hidden within you? Look, I don't know what's hidden within you. I have no way of knowing such a thing. You yourself may barely know, although I suspect that you have caught glimpses. I don't know your capacities, your aspirations, your longings, your secret talents, but surely something wonderful is sheltered inside you. I say this with all confidence because I happen to believe we are all walking repositories of buried treasure. I believe this is one of the oldest and most generous tricks the universe plays on us human beings, both for its own amusement and for ours. The universe buries strange jewels deep within us all, and then stands back to see if we can find them. Explorer hat. The hunt to uncover those jewels, that's creative living. The courage to go on that hunt in the first place, that is what separates a mundane experience from a more enchanted one. The often surprising results of that hunt, that's what I call big magic. Yay! So that's the first chapter from Big Magic from Elizabeth Gilbert. And the reason why I chose this book, well, it was number one, because I finished reading this one, but also because I also believe that all of us have something within us that the world is yearning for us, is begging us to get out of us. And with the current situation that the world is in, there is no better time than right now to either let it out or to begin the exploration, to dig just a little bit deeper, to spend that time with yourself, to begin to understand yourself. So many of my clients and the people that I speak to say, but I don't even know myself. I don't even know what I like. I don't even know who I am. And the truth is that we all do. We just often don't pay attention to it. So in what ways can you go on an archaeological dig? In what ways can you go on this treasure hunt? In what ways are you willing to look just a little bit deeper within and say, hey, what do you like? What do you want to do today? What can you do for hours that you completely lose track of time? What stirs your soul? What makes you spit? You know what makes me spit right now talking to you? I am so inspired by connection. I am so inspired that there might be one of you right now whose heart is twinkling, that has some goosebumps. That is what drives me. And so just a few months ago, I walked away from a company that I had helped build from the ground up because I had this stirring inside of me that said, no, there's something else for you. And it was one of the scariest things that I've ever done. I got sick over it. I had anxiety through the roof. You might have seen some of my videos. I didn't know who I was anymore, but I said, no, be brave. And so I walked away not knowing. What I did know is that this Maybe I didn't know it was story time with Shari, but what I did know was that I had this passion to be able to spend more time connecting with you and to connect with others. And so I was willing to risk everything and be brave and be courageous because I have been given this to be able to share with you. And so, in what ways are you willing to share with the world? What have you been given that is only yours, that we all need? That is what the world needs right now, is for you to step up and step out. A ton of comments. Hey guys. Good morning, Elena. Drew has joined us. Hey, nice to see you. Welcome. Thanks so much. Bring a book to your first date and just read it. A couple of glasses of wine. We got wine. We got a drunken monkey. For those of you joining, we probably got a drunken owl. Why do you think his eyes are always like those? He's had a couple of shots himself. Have any of you guys read Big Magic before, by the way? Oh, thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. Honestly, I think every single one of us are an inspiration, either to ourselves or to somebody else. And now more than ever, the world, not just one country, not just one race of people, not just one gender, but every single one of us around the world with this pandemic have been called forth to show up. We have been called forth to support each other, to be there for one another. This isn't about political sides. This isn't about race. This isn't about gender. This isn't about sexual orientation. This has affected everybody. And so in what ways can we all use what we've been given, our passion, our gifts, and be able to offer that to the world, even if there is nothing too small, even if it's a smile. A smile can save somebody's life. And this is not, I'm totally not even being cheesy, guys. Back in 2000, you might have heard this. I've written about it before, and I've talked about it before. I think it was like 2009, 10, I don't remember. I was a corporate restaurant trainer. And so I would travel the country opening up brand new restaurants for our company and training the staff so everybody would be consistent on the same thing. Anyway, I knew that, my passion wasn't for telling people that they had 30 seconds to go greet a table and make sure that you preset the steak knives before, that wasn't my passion. But my passion was connecting with people, and my passion was uplifting people. And so during all of our training, I would always add in, just my life beliefs, and this is what I would add in, right? And so I would have these conversations with people. But the one thing that I did every single day was every morning when everybody came in, I made sure that everybody was greeted. I didn't care if you worked in the kitchen. I didn't care if you worked in the front of the house, the back of the house. Everybody was greeted with a huge smile. So at the end of the training period, this guy Christian pulled me aside and he said, Shari, as everybody was saying goodbye to each other, he said, Shari, can I talk to you outside? And I said, sure. And so I just thought maybe he was a little private about his goodbyes. And he told me that a week before training had begun, that his best friend had hung himself. And he told me that he had no idea how he was going to move forward in his life. And a few days later, he had decided that he was going to take his own life, but he does not know what drew him to just show up for this job. And so he decided to just show up during this turmoil and during this uncertainty of what he wanted with his own life. And he said that from day to day, that the only thing that got him to that next day was the smile I greeted him with. Now, this is what I'm talking about, that we don't have to cure cancer, cure the coronavirus, end world hunger, do any of this to change and shift somebody's life. All we have to do is show up and be who we are, whatever that is. And so for that day, in that moment of time, it was a smile. And he said that by the time he got through training, his heart was already healing. And so he thanked me for saving his life. And this is not about me. This is about all of us. All of us have the ability and capability to be able to not only support one another, but to be able to show up for ourselves. And that I do. That is who I hope, or what I hope that you will be able to do during this time, is to really go within, see who you are, figure out your big magic, learn how to love yourself happy, Be a smart girl. Have story time. That's when the props start flying. But we're not throwing the drunken monkey. That's going right down my guzzle. But truly, I've lost half of you. I still got people here. And that is what I hope for you. So it is the last couple of minutes of story time with Shari until tomorrow, Friday. And I just want to thank all of you that continue to show up here. You make me feel less alone during all of this. You know, this is hard for all of us. Just because I show up with a big smile and joy doesn't mean that I don't have challenging times. Just because I show up and share some inspiration doesn't mean that I don't have moments of uncertainty, moments of worry and doubt. But what I have learned is that I love myself through those moments, that I acknowledge them, that I look just a little bit deeper. And that is what I wanted to share with you today, is that when you are feeling these feelings, dig just a little bit deeper. If you're noticing that there's stress or big amounts of fear, ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of, Liz? What are you afraid of, Drew? What's going on there? Listen for the answer. And maybe it's, I don't feel safe right now. And then ask yourself, well, when was the first time that you didn't feel safe? And what you'll find is in that consistent questioning and that consistent digging, you're going to come to your core truth. And in that core truth is the part of you that just needs to be healed. It's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be scared of. It's literally just you saying, hey, pay attention to this part of me. And what happens is that when you consistently pay attention to that part of you begins to heal. And then the fears lessen, and the stress lessens, and the anxieties lessen, and you notice more of the joy coming through, and you notice more of the lightness, and more of the connection, and more of the presence. There are beautiful gifts hidden within you. And oftentimes, they're disguised as something else, which, by the way, I just started writing my next book. And it has something to do with this, and I'm very excited about it. And so I'm announcing really to you guys first. Allie always needs a timeout and a nap, Drew. Yes, I know. All right, so we're going to end with our hug. Before we do that, I really encourage you guys to join my 10-week course, Love Yourself Happy. I've discounted it from $497 to $147. Registration ends tomorrow. If you get somebody else to sign up, you get 50% off of the course, and it's 10 weeks. All of us in a Facebook group. I'm sharing meditations with you. I'm sharing exercises and practices. We're doing live calls together, so you'll have me here and we can all get on camera and talk to each other. It's an amazing opportunity to really spend this time with you, to finally come face to face with you and take that journey back to you. So I hope that you will join me. I will put the information in the comments. And if you're looking for a little more one-on-one time, I am available as a self-love and joy coach. My greatest hope is that throughout all of this, that you understand that you are capable of moving through this, that anything you're going through and you're feeling is okay, but you're being called for more. So each day, just let that little bit of calling show up and step out. All right, take your dominant hand, whether it's your right or your left hand, and you're going to place that right under your armpit over here. The other hand that's left, and my dumb joke always, if you're an octopus, just choose one of your other hands or arms. You're going to take that and put that right on top of your shoulder. And then you're going to take your head and you're going to just rest it there on your hands. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable with your eyes closed, and just squeeze. I call this hugging the loving love out of yourself, or the living love out of yourself. And just feel what that feels like. I do this every day. And every day I have a chat with myself and say whatever needs to be said. I love you. You're doing a great job. I got you. We're going to be okay. Whatever it is that you need to hear, you are here for you. So that's what we do with our self hugs. I hope that you will continue to do that. And just so you guys know, tomorrow, Friday, I will be here with story time with you. But then right at noon Eastern, I am going to be doing a Wellness Universe Wellness Moments. It's a 10 to 15 minute Facebook Live over at the Wellness Universe, and I'm going to be sharing practices for you to be able to move through challenging times. And then at 5 p.m. Eastern, I am going to be with a panel of people on what's called Uplift, which are uplifting conversations. And so we're going to be talking about some of the tools and things that we do each day to move through this. Questions here before I go bye-bye. There's always a glimmer of hope, Tammy. There is. There is always something underneath. It's kind of like the diamond inside, and it just needs to be polished. No, Liz, my first book is Love Yourself Happy, A Journey Back to You. This is the book that I've been reading from the last 3 weeks for everybody. It's available on Amazon. I have it on sale for digital, $1.99, or you get the paperback, $14.99. And then the book before that I had called Little Book of Soul Hugs. So this next one is going to be my third book. All right, guys, I love you so much. Don't forget to sign up for the 10-week online course. You guys take good care of yourself. In any moment today that you are feeling overwhelmed or stressed or anxious or whatever feeling that you're feeling, stop, put your hand on your heart and say, I am safe. Watch and see. All right, Owlie says goodbye. Me and Drunken Monkey are off to enjoy ourselves, and I will see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Over and out. Ciao. Arrivederci. Bye, guys. Oh, I didn't even tell you that if you found this inspiring at all or something funny, something made you smile, hit share. I always say this at the end and it's like way too late. Hit share on this and please share it with your loved ones. Bye, guys.